February 23rd, 2020. Joe here at Simple Life Show. I appreciate everybody for joining me. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, do other good social media stuff to keep all the rational voices out in front where they belong. Now, if you've been listening to me for a while, you'll know that I check no boxes. I am none of the above when it comes to either a conservative or a Democrat. I would consider myself anything a constitutionalist just based on definition alone. However, I also consider myself a conservative and a Democrat. And the reason is because I've always tried to look down the center of everything and see things for what they truly are. We can't see the world for what it truly is if we're stuck in a closet somewhere, either the Make America Great Again closet, or if it's the Bernie Bro closet. Everything is kind of just separating a lot, and people are just kind of going to their respective corners, and that's very dangerous when that really happens. And I am just as upset with the Democrats as I am with the Republicans, because just simply putting a red hat on that says "Make America Great Again" doesn't give you an authority on truth either. It doesn't mean that just because the stock market is high doesn't mean that it's not going to come crashing down. Just because that one number says that the unemployment rate is really low doesn't mean that workforce participation is the same way either, which it's not. So I would consider myself, I try to look at everything in the center. But now, after the Nevada caucus, we're going to South Carolina, where there is a higher black population in South Carolina as there would be in Nevada. Now, there's more Latinos in Nevada, and Bernie Sanders did really well, and more surprisingly, Joe Biden actually did pretty well. But we're going to be going into South Carolina, and we'll have a better understanding of where this whole thing is going to go. But Joe Biden has been busted over and over pandering to the minority communities, and we have to stop doing that. He has to stop doing that. All Democrats and all Republicans have to stop doing that. It just seems like it's a constant thing that happens this time of year, and it's a really racist thing to do, honestly, because you're saying that you're a minority, and I am going to pander to you because I believe that you can't understand certain concepts. So I am going to pander to you in your language so you can understand these things a little bit better. That is the most condescending thing that you can possibly do to a person, by putting them in a little box of where they where you just have this idea that they can't understand anything. So we have to pander to them in their own way. We can talk to people like they're adults, because they are adults, and we all have a rational mind to that we've been given by God to understand very, very complex ideas and certain things that parts of our reality and so forth. We don't need to be pandered to anymore. If you want to pander to someone, pander to little children, because sometimes they need that. They need stories to be put into certain concepts that they can understand. It's just how we learn when we're children. We have to have things told to us in a certain way that we can understand. Adults really don't need that. We can pretty much discern our reality for what it is, and I believe that a lot of minorities are waking up to this. And it's not so much they're waking up and they're running to the Republican Party, but they're waking up and they're saying, hey, you know what, the Democrats and the people who keep pandering to me, they really just need to stop. At least that's what my experience has been when I've been talking to people. Maybe it's not your experience. I don't know. But, personally for me, in my reality that I'm living in right now, I just think it's inappropriate. And I don't think it's ever really been appropriate. So Joe Biden's been busted several times here. This was a couple of days ago. This is from DEFCON News. So this is with all the insane things he says, talking about Joe Biden. People often forget that Joe Biden isn't just crazy, but also completely full of it. In a effort to pander the black vote, which is slipping away from his failing campaign, Biden has been bragging about he was arrested in South Africa trying to meet with Nelson Mandela. He should probably know that this is easily fact-checked, that he was probably counting on the liberal media's nap when it comes to the BS. Much to Biden's chagrin, the New York Times looked into it and concluded he made the whole thing up. So it further goes to say into the story here. In at least 3 campaign appearances over the past 2 weeks, Biden Jr. has told a similar story as he tries to revive his campaign in states with more diverse voters. On a trip to South Africa years ago, he has said he was arrested and he sought to visit Nelson Mandela in prison. This day, 30 years ago, Nelson Mandela walked out of prison and entered into discussions about apartheid. Mr. Biden said at a campaign event in South Carolina last week, "I had the great honor of meeting him. I had the great honor of being arrested with our UN ambassador on the streets of Soweto, trying to get him on Robbins Island." Mr. Biden referred to his own arrest twice in the next 7 days. Now, it goes further by saying from the former congressman, the UN ambassador, he's saying that, but if Mr. Biden, then a United States senator from Delaware, was in fact arrested while trying to visit Mr. Mandela, he did not mention it in his 2007 memoir when he was writing about a 1970s trip to South Africa. You think that would be something that he would probably put in there, right? Being arrested. And he has not spoken of it prominently on the 2020 campaign trail. A check of available news accounts by the New York Times turned up no references to an arrest. Andrew Young, a former congressman and mayor of Atlanta, who was the U.S. ambassador to the United Nations from 77 to 79, said that he had traveled with Mr. Biden over the years, including to South Africa. But Mr. Young said that he had never been arrested in South Africa and expressed his skepticism that members of Congress would have faced arrest there. I don't think it happened. I think it's pretty sure it didn't happen. Why he's deciding to lie about it reminds me of Clinton, where she said she was shot at while she was getting off of a plane. That might have been in the Ukraine, or I can't remember exactly where that was. I don't have it in front of me. But you remember the story where she said she had to duck and she had to run and she was under attack. Yeah, that was all a fabrication. That was all a lie. And we all know at this point politicians are really, really good at lying about stuff. And when it really gets bad is when they start pandering to a specific set of people about certain lies. I mean, these are dangerous people when they have to lie about certain things to try to get your vote. This happens all the time. Politicians lie about everything, and we can just kind of sweep it under the rug, or we can see it for what it really is. That is racism. Okay, that is racism. When you're intentionally saying to another group of people that you're too stupid to understand certain things. So I'm either going to lie about something, or I'm going to make something up, or I'm going to talk to you in your own language and pander to you, and because you're basically too stupid to understand. Okay, and Democrats aren't the only ones that do this. Republicans do this as well. We all have to kind of stop this collectively. We have to treat each other as human beings. We have to search for the truth. People are getting really good at researching stuff. You cannot lie to people anymore. They're getting too smart for this. It's 2020. So Joe Biden thinks it's 1920 here in this last clip I'll show.
I grew up as a young man, spent a lot of time in the African American church in my state. We have the 8th largest black population in America in Delaware, and as a percent of population. And that's, as a kid, I got started in the civil rights movement and spent a lot of time organizing in the black church and then going out and trying to do our thing. And what I've always found, Reverend, Pastor, is that the thing about the black church is it's all about hope. It's all about hope. That's how I view it anyway. Because there's so many people have been put down for so long in so many ways, but to come to church and to remind it. There's that famous theologian who said, faith sees best in the dark. And it's been awful dark sometimes for a lot of folks. It's been awful dark. And it's getting darker today because, I wake up sometimes and I wonder whether we're living through in 1920 or 2020.
So Joe Biden doesn't know what century he is in anyway half the time. He has dementia, and he's kind of just falling all over himself constantly. I'm going to leave you with this. Remember when Joe Biden was actually asked about, it was actually during one of these debates when this whole thing first started. He gave a nonsense, incoherent answer to a question about race and whether we should be basically doing more for the minority community. I think that we should be doing more for everyone, specifically, yes, for the minority community. I believe that a lot of people have been swept underneath the rug with this system that we are living in right now. It is eating and gobbling up everyone's American dream one at a time, and we have to really see it for what it really is. It's not about people being lazy or anything like that. Now, are there lazy people out there? I'm sure there is. But we have to stop categorizing people just simply lazy. We have to see this as a systematic problem within our system that we have. Back 100 years ago in 1920, yes, it was probably really easy to become a millionaire because we were in the roaring 20s and everything. Everybody was having a good old time, right? But now the American dream is not so much that bright anymore. And I will be the first to admit that our stock market is artificially propped up. Our banking system is manipulated. Everything is manipulated, and we have to see it for what it really is. It's not that you're lazy. It's not that you're a bad person. People keep telling you this, and if you keep buying into that propaganda, if you keep buying into the billboards, they keep trying to that they try to tell you that you're not worth it unless you're working 80 hours a week and you're killing yourself, like the poor people over in Japan and the poor people over in China who work under a communist regime. That's exactly where we're going to go. We have to have some sort of revolution. It doesn't have to be the Bernie Sanders revolution. It doesn't have to be the Trump revolution, because I don't believe it's really a revolution for Trump either. I consider it more of an isolationist approach. Yes, make America great again. We're going to focus on ourselves. That's great and fine, but we have to look at what is the actual problem of this country. And we're not going to get to it in a 10-minute long video. But we're gonna continue talking about this. We're gonna continue hammering at this because no one's talking about it. People on the right and the far right and the red hat wearers and stuff like that. They're drinking their own form of Kool-Aid too. I'm sorry, they are. And I'm sorry if you have a Make America Great Again hat. I don't think you're a racist. I don't think you're a bad person or anything like that. I think you're a fine human being, and you just want to have a good life, and you want to have a secure life. Just as much as the people in the Bernie Bros over there, I don't think they're bad people either. They want to have a good life too. But we have to figure this out. Okay, because this, going back and forth between red and blue and right and left and all this stuff it's maddening. And I think some people actually like it now. They just love the infighting. They love the debates, and they love just fighting with each other. They love fighting for something, but they need to fight for the right things. They need to fight for the actual American dream that died probably a long time ago. So this was Biden's answer on this. He's like, well, they have to deal with it. Look, there's institutional segregation in this country, and from the time I got involved, starting to deal with that, redlining banks, making sure that we are in a position where, look, you talk about education. I propose that, what we take the very poor schools, the Title I schools, triple the amount of money we spend from $15 to $45 billion a year, give every single teacher a raise of $60,000. Number two, make sure that we bring in the help of the teachers, deal with the problems that come from home. The problems that come from home. We have one school psychologist for every 1,500 kids in America today. It's crazy. The teachers are, I'm married, I'm a teacher. It just kind of goes on and on and on. It's a very incoherent response. Joe Biden's been good at doing this. I'm going to leave you with this. Think about this. Think about the American dream, all right? And think about the pandering to the people and pretending like they just don't know what's going on. They know what's going on. The media wants to make you believe that you don't know what's going on. They want to tell you what's going on, but you know what's going on because you have a rational mind. You can see things for what they really are. We know that America is leading the world in suicide. We know that this country is leading the world in homelessness. We know that this country is leading this world in corruption and all. I could go on and on about all the things that we're horrible in. I'm not saying this country's bad. I'm saying that it's dying. I'm saying that it needs help. Okay, the American dream is not completely dead, but it's on the hospital bed and it's on a ventilator right now. That's the only way I can really put it. And the more honest you can be with yourself, skipping all the left and the right paradigms, you have to see the American dream for what it is and what it used to be. We can't every time we're talking about the American dream and make America great again, it's not so much about reversing time. And I'm not a red hat wearer. I'm not a Kool-Aid drinker on either side. I am just a concerned citizen that's looking at the center of everything and seeing that, a lot of these things are dying right now. And we can see it in so many different ways. The violence that we see out of our young people, the opioid epidemic. People are becoming hopeless. They are becoming hopeless, and they are looking for a way out. Some people choose suicide as a way out. Some people choose suicide by cop. Some people choose to, to turn to drugs and alcohol and stuff. We see this so much now. It's not getting better. It's getting worse. And we have to see it for what it really is. It's a dying dream. And we have to find some way to resuscitate it. But we're not going to do it in a 15-minute long video either. But we will look into a lot of these different things going forward. But we got to stop pandering to minorities, because otherwise people are going to continue to think that everyone is racist. And I think pandering is probably one of the worst things that you can do, because you're basically saying that you're too stupid to understand. So I'm going to talk to you in a condescending way. Until next time, this is Joe with Simple Life. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.